I have to do a record. Okay, okay. So yeah, I call this a Q&A, but actually it's not so much of a Q&A because I have prepared a plan like this. So I have a few things that I want to review, mostly because there are a lot of new students on the platform. So I think I wanted to take the opportunity to clarify a few things for new students. At the end, I will try to do this like quick and efficient, just like I like. Doesn't have to take a lot of time, and then the recording will be available afterwards. And if you have any question you want to ask, like if someone is actually watching this live, I think you can ask question in the chat, and then I will answer them at the end. But I already have a few questions from students. So the first thing I wanted to say is basically welcome to new students. Then I want to do a quick update on the roadmap of the updates of the A2, B1, B2 courses, learning strategy to reach B2 or CLC 7 at TEF or TCF exam, because I know that's like the topic a lot of people are interested in. Quick note on group and private classes, and then I answer a few questions that students have asked me. So, first thing is welcome to new students, because in January, like today is January 18 right now, and like in 18 days, there was almost like 200 new members already, which is actually huge. For our scale, at least, it's actually huge. And I shouldn't say this, but I actually don't think the platform is so intuitive when you join first, and that's why I want to review just a little bit what to do when you join. So, as you can see, I have put here some examples of students who wrote introduction, like in the community tab. So if you joined the platform recently and you haven't done this yet, then like it's not too late to do it. As you can see here, some people they just write like one sentence, some people write a bit more, some people write even more. Usually most people they kind of start by writing in French what they can, and then they switch to English, which is fine. Like there is really no rule to do this. Okay. So, how to navigate on the platform for new people? Should you do road to A1 or edit to A1? And who are the team on Skool? So, if I do this, you can see the platform, right? So, just to review quickly, for some people it might be super obvious, but I actually don't think this is so obvious. So, you have all the tabs here, right? Like I actually want to review everything for like quickly. So, community, classroom, calendar, member, map, leaderboard, about. To be fully honest, member, map, leaderboard, about, you don't need them, and calendar, you almost don't need it as well. The heart of the platform is really community and classroom. The first thing you should do when you join is just to open here before everything else, the like start here post, and you have this welcome video that introduce the platform a little bit. The thing is that when you join, you have so much information right away that you might not know where to start. And so the heart of the platform really is 100% the classroom tab. Okay. In the classroom tab, you have all the French courses. So if you join and your goal is to study A1 level, you can literally just join and start the A1 course right away. Like all of these other resources, they will become useful after, but you don't need to open everything right away. If you join because you are interested in the A2, then you should open the A2 course. B1, then B1 course. Okay. And I kind of want to say that everything else is useful but is additional, you know. And the way the courses are built, like inside the course, you know, you have like links where it becomes necessary, you have links to other resources, so you can just follow the course and then everything else will make sense. In the community, you have like when you write something, you can choose a category here. So general is if you want to say something, introduction to introduce yourself first, production écrite is really the main one. We will go back to this later, but this is to post your homeworks. Announcement, I don't think you can, I think only I can write this one. And question, if you want to ask questions about French. Okay, just like this morning there was a question like about listening exercises. Okay. The calendar tab, honestly, we don't use it much for now. So, like, nothing much here. Member is just list members. And map is kind of fun to see where students are located. But to be honest, it's a bit gadget. Like, it's not like you need this to learn French, right? Okay. Then, should you do, when you go in the classroom tab, obviously you can see that there's road to A1, then there's editor A1. Then there's road to A2, then editor A2. So which one should you do? This is actually a question that I've heard like many times. So the logic is that the editor courses, so editor A1, editor A2, editor B1, these are full courses, efficient, like we have seen the student succeeded with them, but we wanted to rebuild them completely with exclusive material. So you completely don't need the book to follow. You don't need anything. Also, the editor books originally are made to be used in a classroom, like as a material. So these rebuild courses, Road to A1, Road to A2, they are more optimized for self-learning, and also they focus more on listening, speaking, etc. Like they have more practice than the editor courses. So when you join the platform, if you join at A1 or A2 level, you should 100% go for the road to A1 or road to A2. Okay. Actually, in the future, we will delete the editor course. We haven't done it now because we know that just a few students are still following them, but in the future, eventually, we will remove them off the platform. If you follow, for example, the Road to A2 course, but you do the course faster than we are uploading it right now, then no worries. For example, if you reach the end of Unité 3 and you see that Unité 4 is not uploaded yet, then you can just switch to the Editor A2 and you start to Unit 4 right away because the structure of the units is exactly the same. So just like this, regardless of your speed, you can keep following the courses. Okay? But when you join, you should go for Road to A1, Road to A2, or the B1 course. And then finally, I wanted to introduce two new admins. So you can see here like the members, the people who are online right now, and the administrators. So we have four admins, right? So myself, I'm displayed as owner, right? Then Gustav is our French teacher, and I want to say our main French teacher because not only he gives the classes, but he also handles the organization of the teaching. Louis, who's our additional teacher, all right. Currently, this is with him that you have the introduction call when you join the free call when you want to have the group classes, and Lucy, who is our teacher correcting the written homeworks currently on the platform. So this is the current team as of today of the NLF Academy School platform. All right. Quick updates because I was talking about the road to A2 and road to B1. So Unité, here I'm talking about road to A2. Unité 1, 2, 3 are uploaded completely. In February, we plan to upload Unit 4, 5, then March 6, 7, April 8, 9, May 10, 11, June Unit 12. There will be 12 units in total. Then the rest of the year, from July to December, will be dedicated to a new course, which would be B1, B2 course. So normally you might be wondering, why is it a B1, B2? Why not B1 course and then a B2 course? How can B1 and B2 be together? This will be explained when we start to upload the course, but this will be a B1, B2 course. Okay. So ideally, by the end of 2026, you have the whole thing from A1 to B2 complete, like the whole program rebuilt, basically. Yeah, I explained this one already. Okay, planning for 2026. I have shown this before, but I will go a bit more in detail. For someone joining this year who would like to have an idea of how they could organize 2026 for studying, A1 course has 10 units, A2 has 12, B1 has 12. So total 34 units, right? In the year, we have 52 weeks. So on average, if you would like to do 34 units in 52 weeks, you can round it up to 3 units per month, okay? Which gives you a planning that looks like this, like January, February, March, and April. You do the A1. April, you start A2. A2, April, May, June, July, August. August, you start the B1, B2. And then until December, you do the B1, B2 course. Okay. This is just to give you like a mental roadmap of how you could organize your schedule if, for example, you had the objective to go for 12 months doing A1, A2, B1, B2. I'm saying this, but obviously I am not encouraging you at all to go as fast as possible. Like, I don't encourage you to rush through the course. I explained this a bit more in detail in the presentation of Road to A2, but it's just not a good strategy to try to rush as fast as possible. But I know that a lot of people want to go fast for the reason that they want to take TEF or TCF exam like this year, for example. So this is why I call this how to actually study for TEF and TCF exam, which are like very similar. So the 90% of the advice for TCF are also applicable for TEF exam. So to study for TCF and TEF exam, you have, the way I see things, you have to study 5 skills. Okay? First of all, you have 2 skills of understanding French, right? You have reading and listening. Then you have 2 skills of expressing yourself in French, which are writing and speaking. And then you kind of have a 5th skill, which is understanding the exam, which makes sense, right? Because before you take an exam, you always study the structure of the exam. Like, you don't just arrive at the exam and you discover the structure right away. Usually, when you arrive at the exam, you did some prep already. You know exactly how long is each exercise, each section. You have done some mock exam, etc., etc. No, doing preparation, like specific exam preparation, is super useful, like 100%. No doubt about this. But it's less important than these 4 skills. The thing is that when I tell you this, you probably think that it's obvious. Like, why am I insisting a lot on this? Because even though everyone knows this, like, obviously, if you're going to take a French exam, knowing the layout of the exam is important, but obviously it's not more important than like speaking French, right? Like, that's obvious for everyone. But the thing is, even though it's obvious for everyone, a lot of students, the way they act and the way they approach their learning, their studies, is as if they put exam prep before everything else. Like, some students, like actually a lot of students, they will ask me precise question about TEF and TCF exam when they haven't really started like A1 yet, you know? And I understand the concern 100%, like, it's natural, but it's just not the most efficient mindset to have to approach learning the language, because at the end of the day, this should take 90% of your focus. This is what you should go all in on at the end. Okay? So, if you want to do this as efficiently as possible, first step is the course itself. Okay, watch the course seriously, watch the bonus resources. You have so many bonus resources organized precisely in the course. Do the homeworks and ask questions if you need. The course really gives you a lot of practice on the language as a whole, and especially on reading and listening, obviously, because these are the 2 things that you can do in a video course. But they also give you a lot of, I would say, like brain mechanic, especially in the beginning. Step number 1 is the course itself, right here, right? Okay. Step number 2, do the writing homeworks, because in every chapter, not in the very beginning of the A1 course, but like very fast, it arrives that every chapter has some writing homeworks, and the platform, the Skool platform, is made so that for every chapter you can do the writing exercise, you can submit it, and then you have a correction. This is also super useful, not just for the writing, but also for the brain mechanic of actually using and like articulating sentences with everything that you've learned, like how to use what you actually learned in the class, right? I took here an example of a student who posted a lot of writing recently. This was his very first post on the platform on December 25, so less than a month ago. J'habite dans un appartement dans un quartier bruyant à Calgary. Le quartier s'appelle East Village. Il y a des cafés sympas ici. Il y a aussi un parc et une rivière. The writing is very good. Actually, it's like kind of perfect, but you can see the sentences are very short, straightforward. This is the writing of someone who is just starting, but really applies what he learns. Okay. This is 2 days ago, so less than a month after. The writing is way more way better built, let's say. I'm struggling with my English. But like basically the writing is way better, and I know some people are writing more than this, but I took this example on purpose to show you that like you don't have to write super sophisticated stuff. This is still basic, but this guy right here, he's writing very regularly, which is obviously the most important. Just think about this. If you just submit, for example, 2 writings per week for the whole year, at the end of the year, you did more than 100 writing for the whole year. Like two per week at this scale is like so doable. It doesn't take so much time, just take a little bit of extra effort. But at the end of the year, you have done more than 100 writings. Can you imagine how, like, as compared to someone who never do this kind of stuff, can you imagine how much more comfortable you arrive at a French exam when you did like 100 writing during the year? And for most writings, we do like a quick video to correct it. But as you can see, the writing doesn't have to be super big and huge and sophisticated. And sometimes the correction is just one small bullet point. Just like this, takes 10 seconds to review, and that's it. Like that's obviously some writings are there are more things to review and everything, but I took this example just to show you that it doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be sophisticated. For it to be regular and frequent during a whole year is so much more important. And obviously, the step number 3, you already know what it's going to be. And I'm going to say exactly the same thing. Step number 3 is speaking. I don't want to do a whole explanation on speaking because the speaking module on the platform really has, yeah, here really has everything basically. Like everything is explained in the speaking module. But just like I said here, someone who follows, like a student who follows what is explained here, like even at zero financial cost, like $0, you can practice speaking for free every single week with everything that is explained here. Can you just imagine someone who like takes the time, the extra effort to have 1 or 2 or 3 conversations in French, or like to practice actually speaking every week for the whole year, how much more comfortable you are at the end of the year when you actually take an exam as compared to someone who just watched the videos, right? So this is like super, this is actually the single best investment that you can do to improve your level. And I don't even mean financial investment. Financial investment, yes, as well, but time investment as well, even without any cost. Okay. Because the thing is that speaking must be natural. It has to become natural. The thing is, some students, and again, I'm not judging or pointing fingers because it's natural. And I learn foreign languages myself, and like I do the same way. Like we're all the same basically. But the thing is, some students, when they start to do exam prep or when they join an exam, they know the kind of sentence that they are supposed to say, but in 2 seconds, you can feel that it's not really natural. You can have someone who makes less mistakes in speaking, but it still doesn't seem natural. And I took like I like to do a comparison with, just imagine someone who goes to the gym, for example, and he does some bench press, so he has the bar like this, he's laying down on a bench, and he's doing like this with the bar. Someone who is very, very strong, who has a lot of muscle, but who never did bench press, you can see it right away. Because just to hold the bar, you need a lot of like little muscles and tendons like in your shoulders. So even though the guy is very strong, you can see maybe shaking a little bit just because he's not used to it. He's very strong, like he has the strength to do the bench press exercise, but you can see it's not natural yet. But you can see someone who is used to do this like every week, and maybe he's not as strong, he cannot lift as heavy, he doesn't have the same strength, but he's not shaking at all when he holds the bar because it's natural for him. Like all the small muscle in the shoulders are trained already. And it's like literally exactly the same thing for speaking a foreign language. Like when you are used to having conversation, I don't really know how to explain it scientifically, but you can just feel if it's natural or no the way you speak, with like little words, little, like one more second you take to answer and everything. And this is why it's so important to practice speaking like regularly during the year as soon as possible. And I know that a lot of people, when I insist on this, they tell me, okay, I actually want to learn to start speaking, but I just want to wait a little bit until I know more vocabulary because I don't know enough vocabulary for now. And to me, to give you the same comparison as before, when you say this, which is by the way natural, like it's super natural to think like this, but just think about it this way. Imagine that you have a friend who is kind of out of shape, and you like going to the gym, and so like you tell your friend, hey, you can join me, tomorrow we go to the gym together, you can do some exercise to get in shape. And he tells you, oh yeah, I want to do bench press, like let's do some bench press. And you tell him, okay, so tomorrow morning let's do some bench press. And then he tells you, okay, but actually I will wait a little bit, I will watch some bench press videos, and then I will wait until I can lift 100 kg, and then I will do the bench press. Like you would tell him, it doesn't make sense, right? Like you have to start with like zero weight, and then little by little you will improve. Even though in the beginning you put like zero weight, it's not an issue. Like you just start very small and then you get better. That's exactly the same thing here. No, if you really have zero vocabulary, like at all, like you've never heard French in your life, of course it's impossible. But this is why in the A1 course, the speaking is introduced at the end of Unité 2. To be fair, at the end of Unit 2, you know how to introduce yourself, you know how to talk about your family, you know how to talk about your city and your apartment a little bit, you know a few words like the dates. And by the time you find your language partners and you start to have like 5 minutes conversation just to practice a little bit, you will have started Unit 3 already, and then 4, and then 5, etc. So, yes, you can start right from, let's say, the end of Unité 2. I mean, that's the arbitrary choice that we made in the course. Okay. So I'm sorry I talk a lot about this, but it's because, again, like I said, this is really like the best investment you can make for your learning. Okay. Finally, because we talk about speaking, last seats available. Actually, the group classes for this year, the first session, the first onboarding, ends today, because the first class is tomorrow. But every time we do this, there are always some people joining, like one day later, maybe because they didn't see this before. So just to mention it one last time, these are the groups because we opened. We I put a post last time, like we opened new groups, new time slots last time, so you can pause or watch in the speaking part. Like some groups still have some seat left, basically. So you can always schedule the free intro call. Like I mentioned last time, uh, no student on the platform can take private classes without having the free introduction call first. So you get to know the teacher, you can ask them question, and the teacher can get to know you to see your level, etc. So yeah, this is the groups that are still open for right now. Like you should schedule the intro call like right now, basically. That's all I wanted to review. Few questions from students. Question I get a lot is TCF or TEF exam. Which one should I choose? Actually, a lot of students are asking this. So I will give you factual informations, right? My take on this is if one of the exam was obviously easier than the other, by now everyone would know about it because so many people are taking these exams that if one was really easier, everyone would know by now. So I genuinely don't think that one of them is obviously objectively easier than the other for everyone. However, my own personal feeling, so that's just my take. I don't like this is not an official thing or anything. My own personal feeling for someone like I did a lot of exam prep with a lot of students. I personally feel like the speaking section for TEF is easier because the TCF has three sections and like I honestly I don't really like the speaking section of TCF. I think it's a little weird. The TCF is very standard and honestly quite easy in my opinion. But the writing is the opposite, mostly because the writing section of TEF exam has one creative writing exercise where you are supposed to imagine like a newspaper article. And this is a very short exercise, but this is super confusing for so many students. And a lot of students are kind of terrified of this exercise actually. Whereas the TCF has three writing exercises, but they are more standard and usually once you understand the logic, they are not so difficult. So that's not that's not really helpful, but that's my take on the question. Another question that I actually got a lot recently is how am I supposed to know? So this is for complete beginners in French. How am I supposed to know if a noun is male or female? So, for example, how do you know that tasse is féminin but stylo is masculin? Or like lunette is féminin but pull is masculin? Basically, there is no 100% working all the time rule. So you kind of have to learn it. You have some hints, like most of the words ending with et, sillon, ans, often they are feminine, but there are exceptions. Most of the words ending with age, man, ism, most of them are masculine. But again, it's not 100%. You have exceptions. I would really recommend to not focus on this. The thing is, a lot of languages, when you learn vocabulary, you just learn the word itself. Like when you learn English, for example, you learn table, cup, pen, pencil, etc. In French, when you learn vocabulary, at least for nouns, you learn the vocabulary with the article. That's how you should learn vocabulary. If you see in the vocabulary videos of the Road to A1 and Road to A2 course, you always have the article with the word because this is how you know if it's masculine or feminine, right? Also, you should get used to check when you don't know, just go online and check this word masculine or feminine. Something that's very good to remember as well is that if you mistake the gender of a word, it's almost never lead to big misunderstanding. If you say la pull instead of le pull, or if you said le tasse instead of la tasse, it's not like suddenly you are insulting someone. Like it doesn't make any difference. I mean, this is wrong and you should correct it, but it doesn't lead to a completely different situation. So don't worry about making mistakes. And also, 100%, I promise, it gets natural with time. Like this kind of logic right here, without even noticing it, you really get used to it little by little. Something I wanted to mention also, because I realized that I never talked about it, is when you are on the platform, on the right of the platform, you have this invite people button, right? And so, actually, if you invite people using your own link here, you actually earn a commission on what the people that you invite are joining. So, the reason I say this is that I noticed recently in the member list that some people were using this option, and I never really talked about it before. And so, I'm not telling you that you must invite your friends, but basically, if you were already planning to recommend the platform to your friends, then you should definitely do it this way because this way, not only do they join, but also you get some money basically. So, like, better for you. And finally, I just received a question from a student who was asking me, no, wait, he was asking me how to, I will write it down. He was asking me how to improve listening and speaking, basically. But I will give a quick answer. He was asking how to improve listening and speaking. So it's going to be a disappointing answer, but the best thing you can do to improve listening is to listen as much as possible. The best thing you can do for speaking is to speak as much as possible. You should do the listening exercises of the A1, A2, B1 course, and you should do them seriously. Almost every time I repeat that if you need to, you can go back in the video, listen to the exercise one more time. You should actually do it. Like if you have to listen to an audio document 10 times to get it, then just do it. If you have the time, and if you don't have the time, then try to find the time. Like just practice listening, listening, listening. Also, you have a lot of external resources. Take the time to go watch them, listen to them. Some of them don't have subtitles. Focus on the vocabulary you can get, on the rhythm of their sentences, the accent they have, the speed, the tone, the rhythm. Some of them they have subtitles, so you can use them to focus a little bit more on the meaning and the vocabulary, the grammar, etc. But basically, you should just listen as much as possible. Speaking, honestly, the best advice I can give you for speaking is literally just to go in the speaking tab and like to if you haven't done it yet, just check out this video, do the whole action step, consider the private classes. If these are not possible, then find others. Do the actual thing to find language partner and like do everything that's indicated here. Like that's really the number one thing you can do. And that's it. I think we're done. So if there are no other questions, then I will stop here. So again, welcome to all the new students who joined in January, and welcome to anyone who's watching this video. What's the I okay, so someone just wrote a question. What is the ideal 6 months plan for A1 beginner? Usually, what I would say is that if you are A1 beginner, I don't really, honestly, I tell you honestly, I don't really like usually to give plannings because it depends so much. Like you wouldn't believe how much it depends from one student to another. So what I would tell you is if you are a A1 student, so you're following the road to A1 course, right? So as you've noticed, every unit has the exact same number of chapters, and usually every chapter is roughly the same duration. So on average, each unit should take you about the same time on average, right? So what you should do is if you have 6 months ahead of you, you go for unit one and you say, okay, I'm going to do unit one as efficiently as possible, which means that I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do all the chapters seriously, all the homeworks, no matter how much time it takes. Like I do it seriously. Then when you finish unit one, you kind of expect every other unit to take about the same amount of time, right? So for example, if you took 1 week to do unit one, then you say, okay, so if I want to do it correctly, seriously, I basically need 1 week to do unit one. And so I will take 10 weeks in total to do everything. If you takes 2 weeks, then 2 weeks. Okay. Or you can like it really depends on how much time you have basically. And again, efficient is better than rushing. So that's I feel like that's the best advice I can give you for this because like I don't know how much time you actually need, but like this you can assess yourself how much time you would need. Okay. So I hope this can help you with the planning. Or, I mean, you don't have to limit this ID to the road to A1. Then you can switch to A2 and B1. Okay. Any other question? I can wait maybe like 1 minute, just in case. But in any case, you know that if there's any question, you can, like, okay, like for example, for your account, you can, send me a private message like this, right? So I know you know this because I actually receive a lot of questions from students. So any other question, you can just send me a message, or you can write here and put questions like this. And just to remind you as well, might as well remind you that we have a Google form link here where you can ask questions like anonymously. I don't know, like if you want to give some feedback or ask some questions, but you don't want us to know who is asking, then you can use the Google form link to ask the question also. Then there is another question now. What level should I aim to be comfortable in indulging in a conversation with students? When you say in a conversation with students, do you mean with French people or with other foreigners learning French, with other students learning French? I think you mean with French people, right? Okay, yeah, yeah, French students. So the thing is, when you say what level should I aim to be comfortable to have a conversation with students, the only, like, the real question is what do you mean by conversation? Because actually, if you say to someone, bonjour, ça va? Oui, ça va et toi? Ça va. Like technically that's a conversation. You can have it right now, right? Because you just use like 3 words to have it. Like, like that's not a super insightful conversation. But like congratulations, you just had your first conversation in French. Like literally, I mean it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I mean it because once you have this 3 words conversation, then maybe the next time you can have 4 words and the next time 5 words. And this is why the speaking is introduced so early in the course, like at the end of Unité 2, like I was saying, because this is arbitrary. But I feel like once you did Unit 0, Unit 1, Unit 2, you did everything seriously. Honestly, you have enough. Like I said, you know how to introduce yourself, you know how to talk about your family. That's enough to have like a 5 minute awkward conversation. And a 5 minute awkward conversation is infinitely better than zero conversation. And by the time you have a few 5 minutes awkward conversation with like just anyone that you can find on tandem like this, like I can explain, this is just an example, but like you just find a few people online, or if you live in a big city like in your city, you just have a few 5 minutes awkward conversations. And then by the time you do this, you will have done maybe a few more chapters. And next time you will say, okay, this time, we got along well. Let's have maybe a 7 minute awkward conversation. And in this conversation, can we pretend that we are at the bakery and I will buy some bread, for like 3 minutes, like this. And then, just like this, little by little, you practice. So don't aim at any specific level to start having conversation. Just put the bar lower, basically. Like you can literally, like I said, bonjour, ça va et toi, ça va. Like that's already a conversation. And if that's the first one, then congratulations. That's better than nothing. And then you get better and better, you know? So yeah, that's my answer. Like don't okay. Perfect. Okay, I can wait maybe just a little bit more. I'm glad to see that you can hear me at least, because I'm not good at this, and I'm always afraid that for the whole time no one can hear, and like I record everything for nothing. Okay, let's stop here. Okay, another question, sorry. What should I do when I feel demotivated while learning? Ah man. That's not a easy question to ask me because that's kind of external to my scope. Like I'm not really a motivation speaker. like like I'm not the American motivational speaker. Um, I'm going to say something very generic, but I think what you can do when you feel demotivated to learn French, 90% of it would be the same thing you could do if you feel demotivated for anything. So, you know, you can just get inspiration of what to do when you are demotivated to exercise, for example, or to play some music, or to study something else, or by life in general. Like, I don't know. But I would say, for example, try to think about why you started to learn French from the beginning. Like, if you started, it was for a reason, right? So you should keep your objective in mind. And also, I would say, try to put the bar lower as well. Like, I don't know specifically why you learn French, but like I said, a lot of students, they are still in a very beginner level, but they are thinking about TEF exam already. And I think this is very demotivating because most people, when they learn French, like, you can wait a long time before you actually have the level of, like, getting fluent for the TEF exam. So it can be demotivating, and like, you can discourage yourself if you just feel about the exam. But if you have a more, how you say, like, a more incremental approach, like I said, for example, maybe tomorrow I can have a 2-minute conversation, then next week a 4-minute conversation. And if you can learn how to get some satisfaction from those small increments, like these small quick wins like this, I feel like it's more motivating. Mm, yeah, I hope that can help. Okay, let's stop here. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Ciao.